My parents used my credit card to pay for my sister's $10,000 wedding, then called me selfish for refusing to foot the bill. I try not to fidget as Mom slides the pot roast platter toward me, the scent of rosemary and garlic masking the thick tension in the air. My charcoal gray pantsuit suddenly feels too stiff, too plain, compared to Camille's flowing maternity dress, a delicate floral thing that practically glows under the dining room light, perfectly showcasing her 7-month bump. More potatoes, Adriana? Mom asks, already scooping a mountain of them onto my plate before I can answer. Thanks, I mumble, forcing a polite smile. Dad gives me a proud little nod from his throne at the head of the table, that seat he's claimed since forever, like it's his birthright. Across from me, Camille's husband Ethan methodically cuts his meat into perfect cubes, eyes glued to his plate. He hasn't looked at me once since I arrived. That's strange, even for him. Something's off tonight. Mom clears her throat, her voice sugar-coated but a little too cheerful, the tone she uses before dropping a bomb. So, Renee from accounting told me your team landed the Westbrook account. My fork pauses halfway to my mouth. How do you know Renee? Oh, she joined my garden club. Lovely woman, Mom says, waving her hand casually. She mentioned you got quite the bonus for it. $18,000. We're so proud of you, honey. My stomach drops. That number wasn't public. I never told them about the bonus, not a word. It was the one thing I wanted to keep for myself. A private win after 3 brutal years of 60-hour weeks, skipped vacations, and lunches eaten over spreadsheets. I start. But Dad cuts me off, setting his fork down with a heavy clink that silences the table. Perfect timing, he announces. Adriana will be sponsoring Camille's baby shower. My fork freezes mid-air. Time stops. I look from Dad's face to Mom's delighted smile, to Camille's faux surprised expression that doesn't fool anyone. What? It comes out as a whisper. It's so generous of you, Camille gushes, placing a manicured hand on her belly. We've been so worried about giving this baby the welcome she deserves. The back of my neck prickles. I can't move. My mind flashes to 20 years ago, a backyard filled with pink streamers, a clown twisting balloon animals, and a photographer snapping pictures as Camille danced through her 10th birthday party. 2 months later, on my birthday, Mom ordered pizza. Finish your homework first, Dad had said, barely looking up from his paper. No party. No friends. Just a single candle stuck in a greasy slice. Back then, it was always the same story. Camille got dance lessons. I stayed home. Camille got braces. I learned to smile with my lips closed. Camille got a car. I got a bus pass. The Rosewood Ballroom has the most beautiful package, Dad continues, mistaking my silence for agreement. 10,000 covers everything. Catering, decorations, photographer, all the trimmings. All the trimmings. My fingers tighten around my fork. 10,000. Nearly 2/3 of my bonus gone before I've even decided what to do with it. Look at these photos, Camille says, sliding her phone across the table. Isn't it beautiful? We've already picked the color scheme. Ethan shifts in his seat, looking uncomfortable. There's a flicker of guilt there, maybe. I haven't agreed to anything, I say finally, my voice distant even to my own ears. Mom laughs lightly. Don't be silly, Adriana. Of course you'll do this for your sister. Family comes first. The rest of dinner blurs. I can't taste the food. I just keep nodding at nothing. The walls closing in. The drive home is a haze of headlights and rain. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ache. I pull into my apartment building, small, modest, but mine, the one place in the world that's actually mine. Inside, I collapse onto the couch, kick off my shoes, and breathe. Then ping. A Facebook notification. Camille's post is already up, complete with a soft-focus maternity photo. So blessed to announce that my amazing sister Adriana is throwing us the baby shower of our dreams at the Rosewood Ballroom. Best aunt ever. Number family love. Number baby shower. The comments are rolling in. Congratulations. So generous. What a wonderful aunt. I stare at the screen, my stomach turning cold. They've trapped me. To refuse now would make me the villain, the selfish sister who ruined a pregnant woman's special day. They've written the story, cast the roles, and as usual, I'm the one who doesn't get a choice. The next morning, the phone rings at exactly 7:30 a.m. I already know who it is. Hi Mom. Just checking in, sweetheart. She chirps, her voice falsely bright. Did you sleep well? Fine, I lie. I didn't sleep at all. I spent the night staring at the ceiling, mentally converting $10,000 into hours of my life. 416 hours, 52 8-hour days. I was thinking about the shower menu, she continues. The Rosewood offers brunch or afternoon tea. Camille leans toward the tea sandwiches, but with her condition she needs the protein from brunch, don't you think? Mom. I interrupt, water dripping from my hair as I towel it dry. I haven't agreed to this. Her laugh is soft and sharp at the same time. Don't be difficult, dear. Your father is stopping by your office today with the brochures. She hangs up before I can answer. I grip the sink, staring at my reflection, calm, composed. A perfect mask. At work, Jessica pokes her head into my office. Someone's here to see you. Your dad. My stomach knots. Dad's standing in the lobby, tan from golf, teeth too white. Under his arm, a leather portfolio. Busy day? He asks casually, settling into the chair across from me without being invited. Always. He slides the portfolio toward me like he's closing a business deal. Inside are glossy photos of the rosewood ballroom, pastel drapes, chandeliers, centerpieces, printed napkins. Paperclip to the back. An invoice for $10,000. My name already typed in as the responsible party. You've already booked it? I ask. Naturally. The venue fills fast, he says, tapping the invoice. Deposit deadline's the 15th. 3 weeks away. I blink. You didn't even ask me. He stands, smoothing his shirt. Camille's very excited. She's calling it her daughter's first party. He leaves before I can respond. Jessica finds me staring blankly at my monitor. Everything okay? She asks, setting a coffee down. My family expects me to spend $10,000 on my sister's baby shower. I say flatly. Her eyebrows shoot up. The same sister who posted that ridiculous engagement photo shoot on a yacht last year? I nod. The very same. That's insane. I wish it were that simple. They've already announced it online, made appointments, picked the venue. Jessica leans against my desk. Then that's their problem, not yours. Her words hang in the air, simple, logical, foreign. That evening, I find an envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a handwritten note from Camille, and a sonogram picture. Baby girl already loves her Aunt Adriana. We're so blessed you're giving her the welcome she deserves. The Rosewood just needs your card info for the deposit. Mom said you wouldn't mind if we use the one they have from Dad's birthday dinner. Love you. My phone buzzes again, a text from my cousin, so excited for Camille's shower. My flight lands at 2 p.m. Saturday. Should I Uber to the venue, or you picking me up? The walls feel like they're closing in. Then another message. Ethan, I'm sorry about all this, Adriana. I tried to suggest something smaller. But you know how Camille gets. Please help us this once for family harmony. I'll make it up to you. My hands shake. This isn't about harmony. It's control. The next morning, there's a knock at my door. Mom. Holding a white bakery box tied with a pink ribbon. I brought breakfast, she says brightly, brushing past me into my apartment like she owns it. Inside the box, a slice of 3-layer chocolate cake from Belvoir's. I ordered the full cake for the shower tasting, she says, but thought you might like a sample. She hands me a fork. For adults, a small slice is enough, she adds with a smile. Children deserve the big cake, don't you think? Her words hit like a memory. Camille blowing out candles on whole cakes, surrounded by gifts. Me, sitting quietly with my little slice. It's delicious. I lie. Forcing a bite. When she finally leaves, I sit there staring at the untouched cake, tears slipping down my cheeks. After all these years, I'm still that little girl with her nose pressed against the glass, watching someone else's celebration from the outside. My phone buzzes again. My therapist, Dr. Levine, calling back. Tell me what's going on, she says gently. And suddenly, everything pours out: the dinner ambush, the invoice, the credit card, the Facebook posts. As I speak, I start to see the pattern. The truth that's always been there. They've always done this, I whisper. Expected me to give while Camille takes. And what do you want to do about it? I glance at the calendar. October 15th, the deposit deadline. I don't know yet, I admit. But for once, I want to imagine saying no. That night, Camille's texts light up my phone: color palettes, seating charts, guest lists. Each one feels like a chain tightening around my neck. As dawn breaks, I realize something I never have before. This isn't about money. It's about worth. And for once, I need to value myself first. Camille's latest Instagram post hits my phone at 6:12 a.m. Right as I'm pouring coffee, a glowing ultrasound photo fills the screen. Captioned, "Can't wait for baby shower details. Aunt Adriana's special gift is going to make this celebration unforgettable. Blessed family. Generous aunt." 47 comments already. Each one, another brick in the wall they've built around me. I set my phone down and stare at the cracks in my ceiling, the ones I've memorized over too many sleepless nights. How did I let them script my life like this? Why does the word family feel more like a chain than a hug? At 9:30, Jessica texts me. "Did your mom just call the office asking about surprise elements for the shower?" I close my eyes. Of course she did. They're invading my work now, my last safe place. The rest of the morning passes in a blur of spreadsheets, client calls, and a gnawing ache in my stomach. When my boss, Diane, stops by my desk, I brace myself. Robert Reynolds was in the lobby earlier, she says. Said he needed to drop something off for you. My heart sinks. My father? She nods, sliding a glossy brochure onto my desk. Mentioned something about your commitment to his golf buddies? The Rosewood Ballroom brochure gleams under the office lights, mocking me. Someone circled prices in red marker 10 kelvins package best value. I force a thin smile. Family stuff, nothing important. But inside, something cracks. That night, I dig through my filing cabinet. Beneath tax returns and old receipts sits a manila folder, the deed to my apartment. I trace the ink of my signature. That down payment had cost me 1,842 hours of overtime. Weekends Camille spent on beaches, posting number grateful captions from resort balconies. I'd stayed home, saving every cent, microwaving dinner, paying my bills, buying my independence. When Mom first saw the apartment, she wrinkled her nose. Too small, she'd said. Why not rent something nicer until you're settled with a family? Dad had added, you're wasting your money. Real homes are for real families. They never understood that this quiet little place was the first thing that ever truly belonged to me. I pull out my calculator and type, 10,000 divided by 24 equals 416. 416 hours of my life they expect me to hand over without hesitation. My fingers find a photo tucked behind the deed, my 25th birthday. I'm standing alone in my kitchen with a whole chocolate cake, smiling at the camera. The first entire cake I'd ever bought for myself. That night, Mom had called. At your age, I was raising 2 kids, not playing house alone, she'd said. I'd cut a tiny sliver of cake afterward out of habit. Old habits die hard. The next morning Diane calls me into her office. I expect to talk about the Westbrook account, but instead, she leans back in her chair, studying me. My sister tried something similar once, she says. When I got my first bonus, she suddenly needed help with my niece's college fund. I blink. What did you do? I said no, Diane says simply. Family thinks your money belongs to them because they made you. But you made yourself. Her words hit me like a slap, sharp, clear, liberating. She smiles. You earned every penny. Don't let them take it just because they feel entitled to it. I walk out of her office feeling like someone just handed me permission to breathe. The next afternoon, Mom and Camille ambush me again, this time at Magnolia Cafe. They've already spread color swatches and ribbon samples across the table when I arrive. Camille beams like a talk show guest. We narrowed it down to sage green with gold accents. Isn't it classy? Mom slides a sample invitation across the table, my name prominently printed as host. There's a price list clipped to the back. I stare at it, my pulse pounding in my ears. Did you ever consider, I say quietly, what I might want to do with my bonus? They both freeze. Mom recovers first. Don't be silly, honey. What would you need it for? You don't have children to support. Her words hang in the air like smoke. There it is. The truth. I don't matter as much because I'm not a mother. Because I'm not Camille. I push back my chair. Excuse me, I say. Oh honey. We're not finished. But I'm already walking out the door. For the first time in my life, I leave them mid-sentence. Back in my apartment, Jessica helps me draft responses to the wave of texts flooding my phone. You're being unreasonable. Mom's crying. And it's Ian Rada 9. Fi made a day. And it's Saf. And then mod of them. Family means sacrifice. Keep it simple, Jessica says. No explanations. Just no. So I type, I won't be hosting the shower. And I hit send. My therapist, Dr. Kelly, walks me through the possible backlash. What's the worst that could happen if they're angry? She asks. They'll cut me off. I whisper. And what would that actually change? I pause. She's right. They rarely call except to ask for something. Holidays are obligations wrapped in criticism. When was the last time anyone in that family asked how I was really doing? I can't remember. Saturday evening, there's a knock at my door. Camille. Her eyes are puffy, but I can tell the tears are for effect. She's not alone. My neighbor, Tom, is watering the shared plants in the hallway. Everything okay, Adriana? He calls. Just a family visit, I say, leaving the door wide open. Camille's forced sympathy falters. She steps inside, glancing at Tom, who doesn't move from his spot. For 15 minutes, she tries everything. Guilt, flattery, tears. I sip my tea and say almost nothing. Eventually, she gives up. When she leaves, Tom raises an eyebrow. You good? Yeah, I say. And for once, I actually mean it. Sunday morning, I walk into Sweet Dreams Bakery with an old photo on my phone, Camille's 10th birthday cake. A towering pink and white castle with sugar flowers and a tiny drawbridge. Can you recreate this? I ask the baker. But just for one person. That evening, I sit at my kitchen table. The cake gleams under the light, perfect, ridiculous, beautiful. I slice a generous piece, the knife gliding through layers of vanilla and raspberry filling. The first bite melts on my tongue. Sweet, indulgent, guilt-free. For a moment, I consider posting it online, a symbolic clapback. But I don't. Instead, I save the photo to a private album. This moment is mine. The phone buzzes again, another message from Mom. I flip it face down without reading. I look around my small apartment, my fortress, built brick by brick, paycheck by paycheck. For years, I believed I only deserved crumbs. But tonight, I have the whole cake. And it tastes like freedom. Monday morning, I open a spreadsheet on my laptop. Column A date. Column B request. Column C amount. Column D Camille's benefit. I start filling it in. $3,000 for Camille's graduation party, I mutter. $200 for my card. $5,000 toward Camille's wedding. I type next. Invitation arrived late. He was known as Barty wants is within.com. And natures within takius and wanative. The numbers pile up. Cold and undeniable. It's like excavating an ancient ruin, evidence of a civilization where I was the eternal provider, the silent funder, the invisible backbone. By the time I'm done, the total sits at $37,842. Nearly 40 grand of my money funneled to the golden child, while I lived on instant noodles and budget flights. I open a new document. To my family, after careful consideration, I will not be funding Camille's baby shower at the Rosewood or anywhere else. This decision is final and non-negotiable. My financial choices are mine alone. Any further attempts to pressure me will result in a full communication break. Adriana. I read it 3 times. No explanations. No apologies. Just boundaries. Then I hit send. An hour later, the doorbell rings. Dad. Face flushed. Voice booming. What is this nonsense? Your mother's in tears. I stand my ground. I meant what I wrote. This isn't how we raised you. Exactly, I say quietly. When has this family ever supported me? For the first time in my life, he has no comeback. I have a client meeting, I add, opening the door. I need to leave. He glares. This isn't over. Actually, I say, it is. Ever taken a ready fike mices? Back at work, I set up a new email folder titled Family and create filters. Every message containing shower, selfish, or your sister goes straight there. Jessica notices my focused typing. Family drama? She asks. Family financial exploitation. I correct, smiling faintly. And I'm done with it. My phone vibrates again, a new number. Hi, this is Kathy Miller. Remember me from high school? Your mom called about Camille's shower. Block. Another rule added to my filter list. By lunch, Camille's posted a crying selfie, devastated that some people care more about money than family. Please pray for my baby girl who deserves to be celebrated. Number abandoned, number heartbroken. The comments are predictable. So sorry. Some people are just selfish. Family comes first. I close the app, take a deep breath, and whisper to myself, not anymore. My phone buzzes again. It's Ethan this time. The credit card is maxed out. We can't make rent this month. Please, Adriana, just this once. I stare at the message for a long moment, the words blurring on the screen. Then I finally type back. I'm sorry for your situation. I can recommend a financial counselor. I add a firm NO. After it, 3 dots appear, disappear, reappear. Then another message pops up. Robert and Martha are coming to the Wild Sage Cafe tonight. They know you'll be there. Please don't make a scene. I almost laugh out loud. They're worried about me making a scene? The Wild Sage is my sanctuary. Every Thursday night, I sit at my usual corner table, order the cedar plank salmon, and read for an hour. It's my ritual. My peace. I consider skipping it, heating up ramen at home instead. But no, if I stay home, they win. If I hide, they still control me. So I go. When I arrive, they're already there. Mom, Dad, and Camille, huddled at a table near the windows. Camille's eyes are rimmed red, and she's clutching her belly like she's the star of a daytime drama. Mom waves the moment she spots me. Adriana, over here, honey. I don't move toward them. Instead, I walk straight to my usual corner table. The host greets me by name and brings me water without asking. I open my book. I can feel their stares from across the room. A few seconds later, they're at my table like a small, determined army. Mom slides into the chair opposite me without invitation. Dad stands, blocking the exit. Camille hovers close by, her tears on standby. You've always been jealous of me, Camille says suddenly, voice trembling just enough for effect. Even now, you can't stand that I'm starting a family while you're still alone. Her tone carries. On purpose. Diners nearby look up. I set my book down calmly. This isn't about jealousy, I say, voice steady. It's about $10,000. It's just money, Mom hisses. Family is forever. Then you can pay for it. I reply evenly. I'm not funding a party I didn't plan, and I didn't agree to. Not now, not ever. Dad leans forward, his voice low and dangerous. You ungrateful little. The waiter appears out of nowhere. Is everything okay here? Dad forces a smile. Family discussion. The waiter turns to me. Miss Reynolds. Would you like these people to leave your table? 3 pairs of eyes bore into me, daring me to comply. Yes. I say simply. I would. The restaurant goes quiet. Mom gasps. Camille lets out a dramatic sob that turns heads. Dad's face flushes crimson as he gathers their things, muttering something about disappointment. As they shuffle toward the exit, I can feel the weight of a dozen strangers' gazes, not judging, but approving. An older woman at the next table raises her glass in a silent toast. The waiter smiles slightly. Your usual? Yes, please, I say, exhaling for what feels like the first time all day. And just like that I feel lighter. For the first time in years, I stood up and didn't crumble. A week passes. Then another. I ignore every call, every guilt-laden text, every family email. I even block their numbers. Mom. Dad. Camille. I thought I'd feel lonely. Instead, I feel free. But freedom comes with silence, a silence that sometimes echoes too loudly in my small apartment. Until one afternoon, a message slips through from Ethan. I understand your position better than you know. I stare at it for a long moment. Then I block him too. Peace, it turns out, has a quiet kind of strength. Still, part of me can't rest. I need closure, not the messy emotional kind, but the factual, documented kind. So I spend my weekend building something new. A portfolio. I gather every receipt, every Venmo transfer, every check stub that ever involved my family. Camille's car repair, Mom's emergency dental work, Dad's so-called roof repair. Every time I covered for them. Every dollar. By Sunday night, the total stands at $47,328. Almost $50,000 gone over the years, disguised as help, love, or duty. I stare at the number until it stops shocking me. It's not just money. It's time. It's sleep. It's boundaries I never had the courage to draw. Monday morning. An alert pings on my phone. Family emergency. Camille in hospital due to stress. The message is from Mom, and against my better judgment, I go. Because despite everything, part of me still believes they're my family. When I arrive, the house smells like cinnamon potpourri. Mom's signature, we're pretending everything's fine, scent. Camille is sprawled on the couch, phone in hand, scrolling Instagram. Her complexion? Glowing. Her emergency? Nowhere in sight. Where have you been? Mom rushes toward me, voice sharp with fake concern. We've been worried sick. Dad stands by the fireplace, arms crossed like he's presiding over a courtroom. Sit down, Adriana, he says. We need to talk about what's happening with this family. I remain standing. Yes, we do. Ethan sits in the armchair, looking anywhere but at me. Mom perches beside Camille, and pats her hand dramatically. She's been under so much stress. The doctor said she must avoid all upset for the baby's sake. I look right at Camille. Interesting. Because I called the hospital before coming here. They have no record of her being admitted yesterday or today. The room freezes. Dad blinks. It was the emergency room. They keep records too. I cut in. But that's not why I'm here. I set my leather portfolio on the coffee table. Mom's eyes narrow. What's that? The truth. I say simply. I unzip it and pull out the first page, a detailed spreadsheet, color-coded and highlighted. This, I say, sliding it across, is a record of every financial favor I've done for this family over the past 8 years. Totaling $47,328. Dad takes a step forward, his voice tightening. Now, wait just a minute. No, Dad. You wait. I flip the next page. Camille's transmission repair. Mom's dental work. The roof repairs on this house after you claimed your retirement account was frozen. Each item comes with receipts, each lie, with proof. Mom's face pales. The money for the roof. I continue. 3 days later, Camille posted photos of her new bedroom furniture. Mom opens her mouth to argue. The dental emergency? I add. That same weekend? You two went on an Alaskan cruise. Camille stands abruptly, hand on her belly. You've been spying on us. No, I say calmly. I've been paying attention. I pull out another sheet, a loan document. This is the loan application I found in your trash, Camille. The one where you listed me as co-signer without my knowledge. Ethan's head snaps up. You did what? She's my sister. Camille snaps back. That's what family does. I lay down the final document, a printout of Camille's social media announcement. And this is your baby shower post. Dated 2 weeks ago before anyone even asked if I was willing to pay. The air thickens. Dad's voice wavers. You've been keeping tabs on us? I meet his eyes. No. I've been keeping records. Because no one else ever did. Mom rises, trembling with indignation. We've always treated you girls equally. A bitter laugh escapes before I can stop it. Really? These are photos from my 8th birthday. I slide them forward. Camille surrounded by gifts and friends, a giant cake on the table, then me alone at the kitchen counter with a single cupcake and a paper candle. That was different, Dad says weakly. We were struggling financially back then. Then explain this, I say, laying down the college fund papers. My college fund somehow became Camille's wedding fund. Grandma's inheritance, used for Camille's down payment. I got a coffee maker. The silence that follows is suffocating. Finally, Ethan speaks. His voice is quiet, firm. Martha, stop. She's right. Mom stares at him, stunned. The truth hangs heavy between us. I take a deep breath, feeling something inside me settle, a calm I've never known before. I've built my life without your help, I say softly. I've worked 60-hour weeks while Camille calls everything a family emergency. I've sacrificed vacations, holidays, and relationships because you taught me my needs always come last. Dad sinks into his chair, defeated. Not anymore. Mom rises again, eyes blazing. How dare you speak to us this way, after everything we've done for you? What exactly have you done for me, Mom? I ask. Name one thing that didn't benefit Camille in the end. Her mouth opens, and nothing comes out. That's what I thought. I close the portfolio, the sound echoing in the quiet room. Here are my terms for any future relationship. Respect, equality, and therapy. No more financial requests. No more manipulation. No more lies. Camille scoffs. Or what? Or nothing, I say. There will simply be no more me in your lives. I reach into my pocket and pull out the spare key to their house, the one I've had since college. It lands on the table with a metallic clink that feels like final punctuation on a lifetime sentence. The baby shower, I say evenly, is cancelled. Or at least, I'm not paying for it. Ethan meets my gaze, gives me a small nod, one of quiet respect. Adriana, don't you walk out that door, Dad warns. I pause at the threshold, turn back, and say softly, I already did years ago. You just never noticed. Then I walk out, my heartbeat steady and strong. The door closes behind me with a quiet finality that feels louder than any argument I've ever had. For a second, I just stand there on their porch, the late afternoon light spilling across the walkway, my heart pounding like I've just run a marathon. Then, slowly, the tension drains from my shoulders. I don't look back. Not at the house that never felt like home. Not at the people inside who only ever saw me as a resource. Not a daughter. I walk to my car, my hands steady for once. When I start the engine, the radio comes on mid-song, some soft acoustic tune I don't recognize. The lyrics drift through the air, something about letting go of what no longer serves you. For the first time in years, I don't switch stations. That night, I don't cry. Instead, I pour myself a glass of wine, sit on my couch, and stare at the quiet hum of the city outside my window. The world feels different, bigger somehow. Like I just stepped out of a shadow I didn't know I was living under. My phone buzzes twice, then falls silent. Probably Mom. I let it ring. Then I do something I've never done before. I turn it off completely. I light a candle, open my laptop, and write 3 words at the top of a blank page. What I deserve. For the next hour, I write without stopping. Not about money, or work, or family, but about peace, respect, rest. By the time I finish, I realize something startling. I don't just want distance, I want to build something new. A life that's mine in every way. The next few days pass quietly. No ambushes, no guilt calls, no emotional blackmail hidden behind fake concern. I thought the silence would hurt. But it doesn't. It feels like healing. At work, I notice small things I used to miss. The smell of coffee in the break room, the way Jessica hums when she's stressed. The sunlight catching the edge of my monitor around 4 p.m. Peace, I realize, isn't loud. It's subtle. It's steady. On Thursday, Jessica drops by my cubicle with a grin. So? Did the world implode after you said no? Not yet, I say, smiling back. Good. Keep it that way. She taps the top of my computer monitor. Oh, and by the way, you inspired me. My brother's been asking for a small loan again. I finally told him no. I laugh. How'd that go? He called me heartless. Then asked again 5 minutes later. Progress, I say. She raises her coffee cup. To boundaries. Not things fallows which he said. When me not nobel till. When me delicate and jesting. To boundaries, I echo, clinking my mug against hers. By Friday evening, I'm starting to feel normal again. I go for a walk after work, headphones in, playlist on shuffle. The sunset paints the city gold and soft pink. I stop by the park, sit on a bench, and just breathe. For years, I thought freedom meant success. Promotions. Savings. a mortgage. But tonight, it feels like this. A quiet park, a cool breeze, and no one demanding anything from me. Saturday morning, I get a text from Ethan. Camille's resting. Mom and Dad aren't talking to anyone. I just wanted to say, thank you for standing up for yourself. You were right. I stare at the message for a long moment. There's sincerity there. It's the first time anyone from that side of my family has ever said I was right. I type back simply, I hope things work out for you. No anger, no sarcasm, just peace. Then I block his number too, not out of spite, but closure. Weeks turn into months. I start going to therapy regularly again. Dr. Kelly and I talk about patterns, about learned behaviors, about why I always felt the need to earn love instead of expecting it. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself, she tells me one afternoon. It's survival. I nod, writing that down in my journal. The page already has other mantras written in neat handwriting. You don't owe anyone your peace. Guilt isn't gratitude. Saying no is an act of love to yourself. I read them every morning before work. Like prayers for a life I'm still learning to believe I deserve. One night, I get home late from work and find a letter taped to my door. No return address. But I know the handwriting. Mom. The envelope smells faintly of her perfume lavender and something sharp underneath, like regret. I set it on my coffee table and stare at it for a while. Then I pour a cup of tea and finally open it. Adriana, your behavior has broken this family. Your father barely sleeps. Camille's blood pressure is high. You've caused nothing but pain. We raised you to care for family, not abandon it. One day, you'll understand what it means to be a mother and regret what you've done. Mom. I fold the letter carefully and place it back in the envelope. Then I open my filing cabinet, slide it between utilities and insurance. Filed away. Documented. Not forgotten but not haunting me, either. Some stories don't need a response. A few weeks later, something unexpected happens. My company launches a new mentorship program. Diane nominates me to lead one of the groups. Why me? I ask. Because you've got backbone, she says simply. And because I trust you to help others find theirs. I blink back sudden tears. Thank you. And for the first time, I believe her. My mentees are mostly women young, ambitious, still figuring out how to speak up without apologizing. We meet once a week after hours. The first session, I tell them a story, not all of it. Just enough. About learning to say no. About realizing that self-worth doesn't require permission. They listen quietly. One of them, a shy analyst named Priya, whispers, I think I needed to hear that today. I smile. Me too. It's not a no planned down. It meant no planned out upon it. On Sunday, I visit Sweet Dreams Bakery again. The baker recognizes me instantly. Back for another cake? She asks, smiling. Yeah, I say. But this time, make it smaller. She laughs. Celebration? Kind of, I say. I guess I'm celebrating myself. That night, I light a candle, slice the cake, and eat it slowly, deliberately, no guilt, no justification, just me. In my apartment. Finally at peace. 6 months later, I hang the last framed photo on my living room wall, a photo of me standing in front of my new apartment building. It's brighter, bigger, and filled with sunlight. Jessica took the photo on moving day, catching me mid-laugh, boxes in hand. Tom helped too, brought plants for the terrace and a bottle of wine. We toasted to new beginnings, to chosen family, to the kind of peace money can't buy. Now, my new life has rhythms that feel solid and kind. Every morning, I water the plants, I journal, I make real breakfasts. No more racing through days trying to prove my worth. Sometimes I still hear echoes of Mom's voice, sharp, guilt-ridden, disapproving, but they fade quickly now. Therapy helps. So does time. And maybe, in some quiet way, so does forgiveness, not for them, but for me. On a Thursday evening, as sunlight fades over the city, I host my first dinner in the new place. Friends fill the kitchen, laughter spills into the hall, and for the first time ever, the sound of people in my home doesn't fill me with dread. Jessica clinks her glass. To Adriana. For showing us that no is a full sentence. The room erupts in laughter. I raise my glass, smiling. To boundaries and to the freedom they give us. Everyone cheers. And when I look around the room at my friends, at the food I made, at the life I built, I realize something simple but profound. This is what family feels like. Not obligation, not debt, just love, freely given. Later that night, when everyone's gone, I find a text from Ethan. Camille started financial counseling. Baby girl arrived last night. Both doing well. I type back. Congratulations. I mean it. Then I put the phone down and step out onto my terrace. The city hums softly below, lights blinking like constellations. I breathe in the night air and feel something deep inside settle. Once and for all, I am free. 6 months. That's how long it's been since I walked out of that house. Since I stopped being the family's silent ATM. Since I started choosing myself. Some mornings, I still wake up half expecting a crisis call, mom crying about Camille's complications, dad demanding I do the right thing. But the phone stays quiet now, and that quiet feels sacred. Life looks different these days, not glamorous, just peaceful. I work reasonable hours. I take lunch breaks. I've even learned to leave my laptop at the office. Something I used to think was impossible. I joined a yoga class on Saturdays, something spontaneous, something for me. At first, I felt out of place surrounded by people who could balance on one leg while I wobbled like a startled flamingo. But I kept showing up. Each week, I wobble a little less. Sometimes, when we end in meditation, I picture my old life, the dinner tables, the manipulation, the guilt. And I quietly whisper to myself, you made it out. My therapist, Dr. Kelly, says recovery isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. You come back to the same lessons, but from a higher place each time. So I spiral. Some days I feel strong, unshakable. Other days I reread old texts from mom just to remind myself why I left. The guilt still visits, but now it knocks politely before entering. And when it does, I ask it to sit, listen, and leave by bedtime. At work, people start noticing changes I didn't even realize were showing. You look lighter, Jessica says one morning as we wait for the elevator. I've lost about $47,000 of emotional weight, I reply with a laugh. She grins. Best kind of detox. When the doors open, I catch my reflection in the steel panel, shoulders back, eyes clear. I almost don't recognize her. One evening, I find myself in the kitchen making pasta from scratch, something I'd never dared to do before because it felt like too much work for just one person. But tonight, the flour dusts my countertop like snow. And I don't mind. The sauce simmers, the apartment smells like garlic and tomatoes, and music plays softly in the background. I twirl a forkful of noodles, taste it, and laugh quietly. It's imperfect, slightly overcooked, but it's mine. Every bite tastes like ownership of my own life. A few weeks later, I host a housewarming dinner. Friends gather around my table, candles flicker, laughter spills through the room. Jessica brings wine, Tom from next door brings bread. My mentee Priya brings a tiny potted plant as a congratulations on adulting gift. When everyone's seated, I raise my glass. To starting over, I say. To choosing ourselves even when it feels like betrayal to someone else. They cheer, glasses clinking, plates clattering. Later, after dessert, Priya lingers to help clean up. She glances around my apartment, the framed photo of me on moving day, the soft yellow walls, the flowers by the window, and says, "This place feels like peace." I smile. That's the goal. After they leave, I stand in the doorway, looking around the room, remembering when this kind of calm used to feel foreign. Now, it feels like home. I wash the dishes slowly, humming to myself. And then a ping. My phone lights up with a new message. Mom. For a moment, I consider ignoring it. But curiosity wins. We saw Camille's new baby pictures in the paper. You should visit sometime. Family shouldn't stay strangers. The words are mild, almost gentle. I don't reply. Instead, I write the message down in my journal under a new section titled, Things I Don't Owe a Response to. It's a long list. The next weekend, I take a solo trip, something I used to envy other people for doing. Just 2 days by the coast. A small inn overlooking the sea. No itinerary. No obligations. Just me, a book, and the sound of waves. On the second morning, I walk along the beach barefoot, coffee in hand, watching the tide creep toward my feet. A little girl runs past me, chasing a red kite, her mother laughing behind her. I feel that familiar ache again, not jealousy, not regret, just awareness. The kind of ache that says, you're still healing. I smile anyway, because healing means I can feel this and still be okay. When I return home, I find a stack of mail waiting, bills, flyers, and one envelope addressed in careful handwriting. From the Romano Foundation. I open it. It's a thank you letter from the financial literacy workshop I donated 2 months ago. Your contribution funded our spring series. 20 women completed the program, many paying off their debts for the first time. Thank you for helping them reclaim control of their finances and their futures. I sit down, reading it twice. Somewhere deep inside, something shifts. Quiet, humble pride. The same $10,000 they tried to take from me, I turned it into empowerment for 20 women. It feels poetic. A few days later, I tell Dr. Kelly about it. That's a form of generational healing, she says. You took a pattern of financial control and turned it into one of financial freedom. I blink at her. So, I basically broke the cycle? Thanks for watching it on the Meraki. And there were more in Pin and LCP. She smiles. You didn't just break it, you rewired it. One Sunday afternoon, Tom knocks on my door holding 2 cups of coffee. Brunch? He asks. We sit on the terrace, talking about everything from favorite movies, to which houseplants are secretly plotting our downfall. He's easy to be around. There's no performance, no pretense, just presence. At one point, He looks at me thoughtfully. You know, I used to think independence meant isolation. But watching you, it's different. You make solitude look like peace. I laugh. That's because I used to mistake people-pleasing for love. He nods. Yeah. But now you know better. I smile. Now I do. That is a no instead of a compling in Dallas me wanner. Which weakened the port in master. A week later, I get another letter. This time, from Camille. It's short, surprisingly simple. Adriana? I started therapy too. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't realize how much I depended on you to fix things that weren't yours to fix. The baby's name is Clara. She's beautiful. See, I sit with it for a long while. It doesn't erase the past, but it's something. A beginning. Maybe. I don't write back, not yet. But I place her letter next to the one from the Romano Foundation, a reminder that people can change in different ways. By winter, my life has settled into something steady. Work. Friends. Therapy. Quiet weekends with books and tea. One Saturday night, Jessica calls. You busy? Just making dinner. Why? I'm at this bar. And there's this group of guys talking about how women who set boundaries are too independent. Want to come and terrify them? I laugh so hard I nearly drop my spoon. Text me the address. An hour later, we're at a corner table, laughing too loudly, telling stories, clinking glasses. When I look around at the lights, the noise, the people who chose me for me, I feel it again. That warmth, that freedom. And I realize, this isn't the calm after the storm. This is the life I built after the storm. Back home, I stand by the window with a cup of tea. The city glows below, endless and alive. I whisper to myself, you did it. Because sometimes, you need to hear it, even if it's just from your own voice. The email lands in my inbox on a Tuesday morning, while I'm reviewing quarterly reports. Subject line, Camille's baby's first birthday. You're invited. For a few seconds, I just stare at it. The name makes my stomach flutter, not from fear. Not quite, but from a feeling I can't name. I click it open. Hi Adriana. We're having a small celebration for Clara this weekend. Just family. I understand if you don't feel ready to see everyone. But I wanted you to know you're welcome. Camille. Attached are two photos. One of Clara chubby cheeks, huge brown eyes, and another of a homemade cake shaped like a bunny. No rosewood ballroom. No pastel balloons or professional photographer. Just a backyard, paper plates, and a toddler smiling at frosting. For the first time, it looks like they learned something about enough. Still, I don't respond right away. I minimize the window, sip my coffee, and let my thoughts settle like snow in a shaken globe. That night, I tell Dr. Kelly about it. She invited me to Clara's first birthday. I say, part of me wants to go. But the other part is scared it'll be the same as before? Exactly. She smiles gently. Growth doesn't mean you have to test yourself in every situation, Adriana. You're allowed to choose peace, even when forgiveness is offered. I nod, thinking about that. Forgiveness, I've learned, doesn't always need an audience. 3 days later, I'm at Sweet Dreams Bakery again, picking up coffee and a small bag of cookies for myself. The same baker greets me at the counter. Big order today? She teases. I smile. Just a treat. A reminder that joy can be small. When I step outside, I see a familiar figure at a nearby table. Ethan. He looks tired, but calmer. When he sees me, he stands. Adriana. He hesitates. I didn't think you'd recognize me. How could I not? You're still the only one in that family who ever apologized. He laughs softly, awkward, but real. Camille's doing better. Therapy's different, but she's trying. She even took over her own finances. I think she wants you to know she's changing. I study his face. There's sincerity there. No rehearsed lines, no manipulation. Tell her, I said happy birthday to Clara. I reply. He nods, relief flooding his features. Will you come? Maybe next time, I say gently. Right now, I'm still learning to show up for myself first. And he said Jina presentivity wealth from Mater of they self-rencivity to us. Ethan's smile is small but genuine. Fair enough. That's something Camille's learning too. That evening, I bake a small chocolate cake, nothing fancy, just simple and rich. While it cools, I pour a glass of wine and open my window to the sounds of the city. When the frosting's ready, I pipe a single word across the top in looping white letters, freedom. Then I cut a slice, light a candle, and whisper softly, happy birthday Clara, and happy rebirth to me. Over the next few weeks, I settle into an easy rhythm again. Work is good. My mentorship program expands, and I'm invited to speak at a women's leadership panel about boundaries and burnout. When I walk on stage, my heart pounds. But not from fear this time, it's pride. I used to think saying no made me selfish. I tell the audience. But it made me free. And when I became free, I had more to give because it was real, not coerced. Afterward, women come up to me, some teary-eyed, some smiling. One says, "You don't know me, but your story helped me finally say no to my brother's guilt trips." Another adds, "I sent your words to my daughter. She needed to hear them." It hits me. My story, this painful, messy thing, is helping people I've never met. What used to be a wound is now a map. On Friday, Jessica and Tom insist on taking me out to celebrate. We end up at the Wild Sage Cafe, the same place I once faced down my family in front of half the city. When the waiter recognizes me, he smiles. "Back for your usual, Miss Reynolds?" "Yeah," I say with a grin. "But this time, let's add dessert." Tom raises his glass. To new associations, turning bad memories into good ones. I laugh. To rewriting the narrative. The waiter returns later with 3 small plates. When he sets mine down, I freeze for a second. It's chocolate cake. "Compliments of the kitchen," he says. "For the lady who taught us what boundaries look like." I blink. "Wait. What?" He shrugs, smiling. "My sister works in accounting here. She told us your story after that night. You don't know it, but half the staff cheered for you." I laugh, cheeks warm. "Well, I guess I'm not anonymous anymore," Jessica grins. "Your legend status." The next morning, sunlight streams into my apartment, warm and golden. I make coffee, open my balcony door, and sit in my favorite chair. The city hums below. Somewhere, a baby laughs, a sound that used to hurt but now feels like music. My phone buzzes with a message. It's Camille again. "Thank you for not coming out of obligation. I know now that love forced isn't love at all. Clara loved the bunny cake. She's walking now. See." I smile, then set the phone down without replying. Some words don't need an answer. They just need to exist. Later that afternoon, I drive to the park. There's a community event happening. Music, small business booths, families wandering in the sunshine. A woman at a table waves me over. "Would you like to donate to our scholarship program for single mothers?" I glance at the sign, then at the small jar half filled with bills. "Yes," I say, slipping a check inside. "For women learning they're enough. That relast of the gone. And relast of the gone." She looks at me curiously. "That's a beautiful reason." I just smile. It's personal. That night, I write in my journal again. The section is titled, "Things That Used to Break Me." Underneath I list, family guilt, money owed that wasn't, being misunderstood, the need to prove my worth. Then, in a different color pen, I add, all of these became lessons. And below that, I write one final line. I am not what they took. I am what I kept. The following week, Diane calls me into her office again. "Adriana," she says, smiling, "we're creating a new department focused on mentorship and leadership development. I want you to run it." For a moment, I'm speechless. Then I grin. "You're serious?" "Completely. You've earned this. And not just because you're good at your job, but because people trust you. They listen when you speak." I take a deep breath. "Then yes, I'll do it." "Good," she says. "I'll have HR draft the paperwork. And Adriana? You're exactly who we needed." When I leave her office, my eyes sting not from sadness, but from gratitude. Every no I said to them brought me closer to this, yes, for myself. That night, I celebrate the only way that feels right. I light a candle, pour some wine, and pull out the leather-bound journal where I record every milestone. On a new page I write, promotion leadership role, earned on my own. Then below it, freedom doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it just breathes. I close the book and look around my apartment, the soft lighting, the plants, the framed photos of laughter, not lineage. I whisper into the quiet, "You did it." The city outside hums its reply. It's strange how normal life feels now. No explosions, no ambushes, no guilt trips disguised as kindness. Just the quiet, steady rhythm of work, therapy, laughter, and rest. Some mornings, I still wake up expecting my phone to light up with drama, a panicked text, a fake emergency. But instead, I see calendar reminders. Yoga at 7, mentorship meeting at 2, dinner with friends at 8. It's ordinary. And that's beautiful. One Saturday afternoon, as I'm organizing files on my laptop, I come across an old folder labeled Family. It's filled with scanned documents, invoices, Venmo receipts, and that spreadsheet I built months ago, $47,328. The number that used to make my stomach twist. Now, it just looks like data history. I hover my cursor over the folder for a long moment. Then I drag it into the archive. Not deleted, not forgotten, just released. A few weeks later, a letter arrives. No return address, but the cursive is unmistakable. Mom again. My first instinct is to throw it away unopened. But something stops me. Maybe curiosity. Maybe closure. I slit the envelope open with my key. "Adriana, Your father's been quieter lately. He misses you. Though he'll never say it. Camille's baby is growing fast. She says mama now. Sometimes she points at photos and says, auntie. Though she's never met you. Maybe kids just know. We're having Sunday dinner next week. No celebrations, no expectations, just food. If you ever want to come home, the door's open. Love, Mom. The words blur a little as I read them. For once, there's no manipulation, no guilt, just a soft, unsteady reach across the silence. I fold the letter carefully and set it on my desk. Home. I think. Glancing around my apartment, my plants, my bookshelf, my quiet. This is home now. Still, something inside me loosens. A tiny knot I didn't know I was still carrying. That night, I draft a reply, not to send just to write. Mom, thank you for the invitation. I don't know if I'll come by yet. But I'm glad you reached out without asking for anything. That means more than you think. I hope you're well. I hope Dad's okay. Tell Camille and Clara I wish them peace. Love, Adriana. I read it over twice. It feels honest, clean. Then I fold the page, tuck it into my journal, and write unsent at the top. Some words are meant to heal you, not them. Sunday arrives quietly. Instead of dinner at my parents' house, I make myself a meal, roasted vegetables, lemon pasta, a small glass of wine. The same time they're probably sitting around that old dining table, I'm sitting at my own. The difference? No tension. No forced smiles. Just calm. I put on music and eat slowly. Like a person who's not rushing to please anyone. And halfway through the meal, I realize something I never noticed before. The silence doesn't ache anymore. At work the next week, Diane pulls me aside after our team meeting. You're glowing, she says. Promotion suits you. I laugh. It's the free evenings and full boundaries. She smirks. We should put that on the company wellness poster. The truth is, leadership has changed me. Not because of power or title, but because it forced me to model everything I wish I'd learned earlier. When a new mentee hesitates to ask for a raise, I tell her, you deserve to advocate for yourself. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. What of there? And the Waro to meeting Seffens. When it bread arrives. When someone worries about saying no to extra projects, I remind them. No one benefits from a burnt-out version of you. Each conversation feels like a quiet act of repair, not just for them, but for the younger me who never had someone to say those words. That Friday, Tom stops by after work with Thai takeout and 2 bottles of beer. Thought you could use company, he says. We sit on the couch, eating straight from the containers, watching a documentary about women entrepreneurs. At one point he glances over and says, you know, you're kind of amazing. I snort. You say that to all your neighbors? And the rasters of no mekadetas. Only the ones who can fix their own plumbing and their own boundaries. I laugh, shaking my head. Flattery and bad jokes. Dangerous combo. He grins. Just being honest. There's an ease between us now, not romance exactly, but something gentle and open-ended. A friendship that doesn't demand, doesn't take. And maybe that's enough. Weeks later, a postcard arrives from Camille. It's a picture of a small park. The one near their house where we used to play as kids. Clara loves feeding the ducks. I think of you every time we're here. Thank you for being the one who finally said no. It saved more than just you. I turn the card over, reading those last words again. Maybe she's right. Maybe boundaries are contagious. I place the postcard next to the Romano Foundation letter on my bookshelf. Reminders that change, while slow, is possible. Spring arrives early that year. The air smells of rain and renewal. I spend my weekends volunteering at the financial literacy workshops, teaching women how to set up budgets, track spending, and say no to guilt, disguised as obligation. One afternoon, a young mother raises her hand. What if the people taking advantage of you are your own family? I pause, then smile gently. Then you're teaching them how to treat you differently, and that's one of the hardest, bravest lessons you'll ever give. She nods slowly, tears shining in her eyes. After class, she hugs me. Thank you, she whispers. And I realize, I didn't just survive my story. I turned it into a guidebook. That evening, I write in my journal again. You can love people and still choose yourself. You can forgive without returning to the fire. You can walk away and still wish them well. Then I close the journal, light a candle, and pour myself tea. Out the window, the city hums with life cars passing, laughter echoing, somewhere a baby crying softly. And for the first time in my life, I feel no pull to fix it all, just peace. Spring rolls into early summer, and with it, a sense of quiet confidence that feels completely new. Not the brittle, performative kind I used to wear like armor. This one is softer. Grounded. The kind that comes from knowing you don't owe anyone your exhaustion. Every morning, I wake to light spilling across my balcony, and a city that feels less like an escape and more like home. One Wednesday, I'm asked to give a talk at a local community college, part of their Women and Money series. The title they assign me makes me laugh. Boundaries, budgets, and becoming your own backup plan. When I step on stage, I see a room full of faces, some young, some older, some holding notebooks like lifelines. I take a breath, steady and clear. I want to start by saying something I wish someone had told me at 25. I begin. Being generous doesn't mean being available for exploitation. Love and self-sacrifice are not synonyms. A few people nod. Others just watch, still and listening. I learned the hard way, I continue, that the people who guilt you into giving will never learn gratitude, only expectation. But you can break that pattern. You can rewrite what family, success, and peace look like. For a moment, I see my younger self sitting in the back row, tired, scared, still trying to earn love through usefulness. And I smile at her. After the talk, students line up to shake my hand. One girl says, "I think my mom's story is a lot like yours. She's scared to say no." I tell her, "Then say it with her. Not for her." That weekend, I visit the lake with Tom and Jessica. We rent a small paddle boat and spend the afternoon drifting under the sun, talking about everything and nothing. At one point, Tom leans back, hands behind his head. "You ever think about visiting them again? It is not the as in steady." I pause, squinting at the horizon. Sometimes. Not out of guilt anymore. Just curiosity. Jessica nudges me with her oar. "You'd survive it now." I smile. "Yeah. I think I would. But survival isn't the goal anymore. Peace is." A week later, I get a text from Camille. "Clara's taking her first real steps today. She pointed at your picture again. Mom said you used to chase ducks with me in the park. We'd love for her to meet you someday." I read it 3 times. There's no pressure in her words. No manipulation. Just a quiet offering. I don't reply right away. I walk to the window, look out at the city lights, and let the idea settle. Maybe someday. But not because I'm expected to, because I want to. The next morning, I take my coffee to the terrace and sit down to write in my journal. The page header. If I ever see them again. I write slowly, intentionally. I won't come to prove anything, or to reopen wounds. I'll come as who I am now, whole, steady, unowned. And if they ask about money, or guilt, or obligation, I'll smile and remind them, that version of me doesn't exist anymore. Then, beneath it, I add, if they've grown, I'll listen. If they haven't, I'll still wish them well. It feels like a promise, not to them, but to myself. Later that week, I stop by Sweet Dreams Bakery again. The baker laughs when she sees me. "Back again?" "Always," I say. "Some traditions are worth keeping." She boxes up a small chocolate cake, just 1 layer this time. "For a celebration?" she asks. I think about it for a moment. Yeah. A quiet one. That evening, I sit at my kitchen table with the cake and a single candle. Outside, thunder rumbles in the distance. But inside, the world feels calm. I light the candle and whisper, "For every version of me that didn't get to celebrate." Then I blow it out, slice the cake, and take a slow bite. It tastes like closure. The next day, I receive another postcard, this one from an unfamiliar handwriting but signed, "Martha, Mom." It's a picture of a lighthouse on a rocky shore. "Adriana, we're all still learning." Camille's therapist says growth comes in waves, it's not instant. She's calmer now, and Ethan's doing well. I've started volunteering with a local charity. Sometimes, I read about boundaries, and I think of you. Maybe I didn't understand what you were teaching us until it hurt to lose you. If you ever want to visit, there will be a seat for you at the table. No expectations, just food. Love, Mom. My throat tightens as I read. I don't know what surprises me more, her tone, or the fact that she used the word boundaries correctly. I set the postcard down and breathe deeply. It doesn't undo the past, but it acknowledges it. And that's something I never thought I'd see. That weekend, I drive to the edge of town, not to their house, but to the overlook near it. From up there, I can see the roofs of my old neighborhood, the same ones I used to stare at from bus windows on my way to part-time jobs. It looks smaller now, or maybe I just grew. I park the car, roll down the window, and let the wind tangle my hair. "Thank you," I whisper. Not sure who I'm saying it to, maybe to the younger me who never gave up. Maybe to the present me who finally learned how to stop giving too much. When I get home, I find a small package on my doorstep. No return address, just a neat label. For Adriana. Inside is a photo frame with a picture of Clara holding a sign drawn in crayon. "Thank you, Auntie." Next to it, a note from Camille. "You were right. Family isn't about owing, it's about showing up when it's real. We're trying to do that now. No pressure, just love." I smile, my chest aching in that tender, bittersweet way healing often feels. I place the frame on my shelf, not in the center, but alongside the others. my friends, my work events, my first apartment key, because family is part of my story, but not the whole of it. That night, I sit at my desk with my journal open. Under milestones, I write. Learned to say no. Built a life that's mine. Found peace that doesn't need permission. Forgave without surrendering. Then, at the bottom I add, and somewhere in all of that, I became free enough to love again. I close the journal, blow out the candle, and smile. Outside, the city hums softly, endless and alive, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm surviving it. I feel like I belong. Summer deepens, and with it, something inside me settles for good. Not because life is perfect, because it's mine. No one is tracking my choices. No one is measuring my worth in dollars or favors. No one is asking me to shrink to fit the family mold again. For the first time, the air around me feels unclaimed. 1. A Sunday that doesn't hurt. It's a quiet Sunday morning. I'm making pancakes, something that used to feel too indulgent for one. And sedici. Now I flip them easily, humming to the old jazz record Tom found at a thrift shop. When I sit down to eat, sunlight spills across my table. I think about all the Sundays I used to dread, the ones filled with family dinners where I was always the giver, never the guest. Now, my Sundays are slow, gentle. I eat my pancakes warm, not cold from waiting on everyone else. And that, I realize, is a kind of healing no one tells you about. 2. The phone call. That afternoon, my phone rings. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Old habits die easy, but new boundaries live strong. When I check the message later, it's my father's voice. Hi Adriana, it's Dad. I heard about your promotion. Diane called the house looking for your address, said she wanted to send something for a company feature. You've done well. Really well. I'm proud of you, kiddo. For a moment, I just stand there, listening to the sound of his voice, the same voice that once thundered over every protest I made, but now, it trembles, gentle, human, no demands, no conditions, just acknowledgement. I don't call back. Not yet. But I save the voicemail. Not as proof of anything, just as a reminder that change, however late, is still possible. 3. What forgiveness actually feels like. People talk about forgiveness like it's a lightning strike, but in my experience, it's a quiet rain. It doesn't come all at once, it seeps in slowly, washing away what's no longer needed. I don't forgive them to make them comfortable. I forgive them to make me free. I forgive the version of me who stayed silent. I forgive the girl who thought love had to be earned. I forgive the woman who almost disappeared under other people's needs. And as strange as it sounds, I even forgive my parents, because they didn't know better. And maybe, finally, they're trying to. 4. The unexpected visit. 2 weeks later, there's a knock at my door. When I open it, Camille stands there nervous, holding a diaper bag and a toddler on her hip. Clara. For a long moment, none of us speak. Hi, Camille says softly. I didn't call because I wasn't sure you'd say yes. I take a deep breath. You're right. But you're here, so, come in. Clara's eyes are huge, curious. She clutches a small stuffed bunny. As they step inside, I notice how different Camille looks. No designer clothes, no performative glow, just tired, real, grounded. She glances around my apartment. It's beautiful. Peaceful. I smile. That's what I was going for. We sit on the couch. Clara toddles toward my plants, fascinated by the green leaves. She says your name sometimes, Camille says quietly. I showed her photos. Told her you're strong. That you taught me about boundaries. About self-worth. My throat tightens. Then, unexpectedly, Camille takes my hand. I'm sorry. Not just for the money. For all of it. The pressure. The judgment. The way we made you feel small for wanting peace. Her words aren't polished or perfect. But they're real, and for once, I don't feel the urge to fix anything, or fill the silence. I just nod and whisper. Thank you. Clara toddles back, holding out her bunny for me to take. Her small fingers brush mine, and somehow, that feels like the truest apology of all. 5. Reclaiming the table. A week later, Camille texts me a photo. Clara. Covered in spaghetti sauce. Smiling like the Sunday. Caption. Dinner disaster. You'd be proud. And suddenly, I want to cook for them. Not out of obligation, but choice. So that Sunday, I invite them to my place. When they arrive, I've made my favorite lemon pasta and a simple salad. No decorations, no expectations, just a table and 3 chairs. Camille laughs as Clara throws a piece of pasta on the floor. Guess she's part of the family now. I smile. A better version of it. He had base. And it hits me, this isn't me returning to the old pattern. This is me redefining it. The table that used to symbolize control, now stands for connection. And this time, it's mine. 6. Ripples of change. Months pass. Seasons shift. My mentorship department grows. Our workshops expand across 3 cities. I start writing essays online about money, boundaries, forgiveness, They go viral. Emails flood in from strangers around the world. Your story gave me courage to walk away. I finally said no to my family's manipulation. You reminded me I'm allowed to rest. Every message feels like another ripple in the pond, proof that healing multiplies. Even Camille gets involved, helping mothers at the Romano Foundation learn budgeting. Mom volunteers there too now, coordinating childcare during sessions. I never imagined our paths would cross in this kind of peace. But life, it turns out, has a way of surprising you when you stop trying to control it. Number 7. One last visit. It takes me another full year before I drive back to my parents' house. The same street, the same porch, but different air. Mom opens the door before I even knock. She's older. Smaller somehow. But her eyes are softer. "Hi, sweetheart," she says, voice trembling. Inside, the table is set for 4. No grand feast, no cameras, just food. Simple and warm. Dad stands by the stove, wearing an apron. He grins awkwardly. Didn't burn it this time. We laugh. No apologies are spoken. None are needed. The peace in the room speaks for itself. For the first time, I eat dinner there without feeling like I owe anyone anything. It's strange. Beautiful. Human. 8. Legacy of Freedom. A year later, I'm invited to give a TED-style talk. The title is simple: The Price of Peace, and Why It's Worth Paying. On stage, I tell them everything: how saying no cost me a family but gave me myself. How I rebuilt love without debt attached. How freedom, once scary, became my home. When I finish, the audience stands. Not because I'm extraordinary, but because they see themselves in the story. 9. The closing page. That night, after the talk, I walk along the river. The city lights shimmer on the water, like 1,000 tiny mirrors. I take out my journal, its pages nearly full now, and write the final entry. Peace doesn't always look like forgiveness or family reunions. Sometimes, it looks like eating breakfast alone and smiling anyway. It looks like laughter that doesn't come with strings. It looks like the quiet assurance that you are enough, even when no one's watching. I close the book and tuck it under my arm. Above me, the city hums, steady and alive. Somewhere, Clara is laughing. Somewhere, Camille is healing. Somewhere, my parents are learning. And here, on this quiet stretch of riverbank, I am simply free. Kendra sat in the front row beside Mom and Dad. Uncle Harvey was there too, arms crossed, wearing the same half grin he always did when proud but pretending not to show it. When the announcer said my name, I stepped onto the stage, to the sound of applause. It was surreal, the same campus, the same auditorium, and yet, everything had changed. 5 years ago, I began. I thought I understood success. I thought it meant owning nice things, getting promotions, keeping the peace. But I was wrong. Success isn't about what you accumulate, it's about what you refuse to lose. I looked out at the audience, hundreds of faces, young and hopeful. If you remember anything from tonight, I said, remember this. Don't wait for someone else to protect your dreams. Learn the rules. Guard your ground. And when life knocks you down, don't just rebuild better. The applause came again, louder, steadier, like thunder rolling through the room. And as I stepped away from the podium, the stage lights warming my face, I finally understood something Grandpa had tried to tell me all those years ago in the garage. Machines can be rebuilt, he'd said. But the person you become while rebuilding, that's the real masterpiece. Afterward, I stood alone in the parking lot for a moment, looking at the Challenger gleaming under the streetlights. Kendra came up behind me, holding her keys. Race you home? I smirked. You sure you're ready for that? Let's find out. We both laughed, got into our cars, and started the engines. Hers purred. Mine growled. Side by side, we rolled out of the lot, headlights slicing through the quiet Denver night. Not rivals anymore. Not rescuer and rescued, just sisters. Equal. Whole. At the next red light, she looked over, grinning. Ready? I smiled back. Always. When the light turned green, we both pressed forward, 2 engines roaring in harmony. And as the city lights blurred into a trail of gold behind us, I thought, this is what freedom sounds like. Some stories don't end with revenge or redemption, they end with motion, with forgiveness that doesn't erase, but transforms, with family that finally understands the value of trust, and with a woman who learned that peace isn't found in having everything, it's found in knowing exactly what's worth keeping. The road stretched open ahead, endless and quiet, stars reflecting off the windshield, and for the first time, I wasn't chasing anything. I was simply driving home.